Hello and good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you. Welcome to Tube. Hope you're feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hello there everybody. Welcome to another Q&A Wednesday everybody. Let's dive into question 1 today. Question 1 today is, does your Zoom G2.1U pedal have a tone sucking problem? No. No, I've never experienced it with my Zoom pedal. I've never experienced that kind of even in bypass mode, it never really bypass mode, it actually just true bypasses, which it just sounds like the MG super clean when pedals in bypass mode. But no, I've never had the G2 1U or G2 for that matter, sound kind of like it's pulling everything out of the sound, so to say, or just kind of like really dull and lifeless to anything. So no, I've never had that with the G2. I can't remember the Zoom pedal you said you had that is doing that. And that's really rubbish, and that's really rubbish. Because even my Zoom 606, it was an old. I've still got it. It's a Zoom. It's like silver. It's plastic. I've still got that, and that didn't do that either. It didn't ruin the amp kind of thing. It could be the way I'm running it though, because like I said, all I'm using the amp for is power. And then I just do everything through pedals, so I don't know if it's just the way I'm running it. But saying that, I have used it through getting the sound from the amp before, just to mess around. And no, I mean I can't think of a time where the Zoom has actually kind of altered the sound to kind of to be kind of to ruin the sounds. I say like tone sucking it all out, like making it really dull or naff sounding. So no, I've never had that with the G2 myself personally. So yeah. So you also said, have you had any experience with tone sucking pedals, and which one was the worst? Okay, so yeah, I have. I've tried a few pedals that kind of have done that, and you're just a bit like, what have you done? Where's my sound gone? Invariably I do like. Well, I'm not that fussed, to be honest with you. I was about to say I don't mind true. I prefer non-true bypass pedals, but in all fairness, I do have some true bypass pedals. But again, I don't really care if that's the right word for it. If a pedal does what I want it to do, I don't care if it's bypass or true bypass or not. You know what I mean? It's because I really like. One thing I don't like true bypass wah-wah pedals. I hate, I do. I hate true bypass wah pedal. I've tried a few true bypass, but I just don't like it. Because I like the natural darkness a wah-wah pedal brings to the signal chain. I don't, even if I'm plugging straight into an amp, I like to have a wah-wah pedal. Even if I don't use the wah-wah pedal, I like to have a wah-wah pedal in the chain. So, if I was going straight into an amp, I'd probably go from the amp to a wah-wah to my guitar. And it's like, even if I didn't use a wah-wah, I like to have it there just to kind of pull that high end down, because it just sucks the tone out a little bit more in a way I really like. And I've always liked that. I don't really like going straight into an amp. Well, I don't mind it, but I would prefer to have a wah-wah pedal, specifically my Vox Silvertop, in the front end as well. But like I say, I mean, sometimes you can't do that, but that's okay. But that's what I like that more myself. But like I say, I don't know if any of my pedals are true bypass. I don't think any of my pedals are true bypass. I really don't. The Zoom G2 can be, but I don't run it in bypass mode. The Marshall Governor isn't true bypass. The Tone City Golden Plexi might be. I'm not sure. The Ibanez wah and the Vox wah are certainly not. And that brings me to something in a minute. And the DS2 I don't think is true bypass. But I could be wrong with DS2. I don't know. I don't know if it's Tone City either. I don't know. People with a tube, you probably know better than I do. I have no idea. But like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, all I care about is if it sounds good. I don't get hung up on kind of true bypass, non-true bypass. As long as it's not ruining the sound that I have in my head when I play, I'm happy with it, so to say. So yield. The worst offender, before I understood it, was the Ibanez wah-wah pedal. The Ibanez WH10 V2 until I understood that pedal was the worst offender for tone suck. It was just terrible. It was just like my initial demo review of that wah-wah pedal. You can just hear it. You get the volume jump. I didn't understand the pedal though at that time. I understand it a lot more now. And in all fairness, I really want to re-review it because just because I didn't understand it at that point, I was very unfair to it, and I want to re-review it. And in all fairness, I'm thinking of even deleting the original video and re-reviewing it and having a proper review on it. Because the Ibanez Wah requires certain things. It's a diva. It is a diva pedal, same as the Boss DS2. But it is an awesome... once you give it what it wants, you don't get any issues out of it. You know what I mean? Somebody actually put an email through to me today, which was well, not today, but I got to it today, about like, have you seen the V3, the Ibanez WH10 V3, which has bypass mode and all these other things. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even interested in it. I don't want it to be true bypass. I mean, I would like to try it, but I'm not going to lose sleep if I never do. If you know what I mean. Like I have two WH10s V2. I would like to get an original. The V3 with the bypass mode, I don't like the idea of it, because the fact of the matter is the V2 works perfectly if you give it what it wants. You know what I mean? I feel that if in the V3, if you have a bypass mode, you're going to kind of lose the characteristic of the WH10. I could be wrong, but like I said, I mean, I don't know. I ain't tried the V3, and in all fairness, I'm not going to rush out and buy one either. Because I'm happy where I am. Like I said, creature of habit, being me, I'm not actually that fussed by it. And as soon as I saw it had true bypass, it just totally went off my radar. I just wasn't interested in it whatsoever. Because, like I say, I mean, the WH10 V2 is a diva, but if you give it what it wants, which is a semi-distorted signal, like if you run the WH10 into a clean channel, like, it'll just sound terrible. It'll sound woolly. It'll tone suck. But if you run it into a more of an overdriven kind of clean tone, it will behave. You know, it'll work really well, and it just sounds glorious at that point. You know what I mean? It sounds absolutely glorious, and I love it to bits. So that was the worst offender for tone suck I've ever had. But like I say, you give it what it wants, and it just behaves. It's just a very happy pedal once you give it what it wants. Is there any other pedals I can think of that did it? I mean, some of the really, really old pedals that I tried at Old Hat would do it as well. I remember trying a few old fuzz pedals that you had to have it on all the time because the bypass signal was so dull. You had to have that pedal on all the time. But saying that, they were those kind of pedals that you would want on all the time, if you know what I mean, because it just sounded awesome. So yeah, I mean, so for me, the worst offender before I understood it was the WH10, but now I understand it, it's just heaven. So yeah, so I do need to do another video on that, to be honest with you. Yeah, I do need to do a review on that, because I was a little bit, not overly harsh, but I didn't understand it. I didn't give it its due or its benefit of doubt, really. So I'm gonna redo the review on the Ibanez Wah V2, because like I say, if you give it what it wants, it loves you. But you have to give it what it wants for it to love you. Otherwise, it just hates you. So yeah. I hope that's answered your question. Gonna move on to question 2 now. Question 2 is: what setting would you use for a Peter Green tone? A Peter Green. What setting would you use for a Peter Green tone on the Katana 50? Okay, so the setting I would use is, well, depending on the version of the Katana 50, I'm guessing it's Mark 1. The setting I would use is I would go to the lead mode. I would run gain about 12 o'clock. So I'd be on the lead mode, I'd run gain about 12 o'clock, and I'd crank the volume all the way up. So it'd be gain at 12, volume all the way up. Bass, I'd probably have either off, so turned all the way down, or have it at 9 o'clock. So there or there, basically. Then I'd have middle and treble. I would probably have both of them at 0 as well. But if it was too dark, I would bring up the mids. Excuse me. But I probably wouldn't do that. But if it was too dark, maybe I'd bring up a mid. I wouldn't touch the treble. The treble would always remain on 0. I'd never use the treble. So lead mode, gain would be straight up, volume would be maxed out, so it'd be over here. Bass would be either all the way off or at 9 o'clock. Mid would either be all the way off or 9 o'clock. Treble would be always down. Booster and thing I wouldn't use. I would have reverb on the green mode. I would have reverb on green, and I would have it at 12 o'clock. I would have it straight up, but you might need to push that up a bit further. But I would have it at 12 o'clock as a kind of a starter kind of thing. And that's how I would use the Katana 50 for Peter Green. When I want to play in the style of Peter Green, that's how I dial in my Katana 100 and the 50. For that matter, actually, I dial both in as exactly the same. So that and on the 100, I have presence at 12 o'clock. Because in the 50, the presence is just set at 12. Yeah, default. You can't get to it unless you've got the Tone Studio. So, and I do like presence more than treble. So that's how I would run it. Like I say, just one more recap. So, lead mode, gain at 12 o'clock, volume all the way up, bass either all the way off or at 9 o'clock, middle all the way off or at 9 o'clock, depending on if it's dark or it needs brightening up. Treble all the way off, green reverb at 12 o'clock, but again, that might need to change, and that'll be it. That's how I'd run it. That's how I do run it, shall I say. And it does get you kind of close. It's kind of got that kind of warmth, but still kind of, because of the presence being at 12 o'clock, it still kind of cuts. So that's what I would use for the Katana 50. So I have a question. I hope that works out as well. If not, I say, if it doesn't work out, if it sounds a bit too dark and woolly, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll think of some other settings for you. Okay, so I hope it's a question. Question 3 now. Question 3 is, I can't read, it's too far away. Question 3 is, I love this. This is brilliant, everybody. Question 3 was, if you ever have a son, can you name your son Dave Simpson the Third? That way you can call him DS. Oh, sorry. I ruined that. Could you call your son Dave Simpson the Second? I can't read. That's my problem. That way you can call him DS2. I've never thought about that before, but that's ridiculously cool. I mean, personally, the idea of kids scares the bejesus out of me. But that's wicked. If I had a son, can I name Dave Simpson the Second so I can call him DS2? I mean, that's just wicked. That's just wicked. I love that. What's your son named after? Oh, me and a guitar pedal. I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. I love that. It's so cool. Okay, so if I have many sons. They're my kids. Okay, anyway, moving along. I love that. It's so cool. So you also asked, what do you think Jimi Hendrix's music would sound like if he had access to modern day equipment? I have no idea, but I bet it'd be very interesting. Whether it'd be accepted, I don't know. I mean, I think personally Jimmy would have eventually gone into kind of electronic music. Like, I think he would have gone from where he was to jazz, and then eventually from jazz he would have expanded into kind of like electronic stuff, because it's got so many kind of like, not as many limits as kind of like stringed instruments do. Electronic music is kind of like, it can do weird things. You know what I mean? I always think that kind of like Jimmy would have expanded into kind of all sorts of weird music. But sadly, we will never get to know. But if Jimmy had access to modern day equipment, I bet he would have been in his absolute element. And I would love to have. I mean, he would have only been in his 70s at this point in time. So, I would love to know what Jimmy would have done. I really would. It's one of those kind of like, same as Jeff Buckley as well. People like Jeff Buckley and Jimi Hendrix, I would love to have known what music they could have created if they just, were still around. I get it with Roy Gallagher, Peter Green as well. you know, there's countless others. You know, what would these people, you know, what music would these people be making now if they were still around? Kurt Cobain, being another one. Sorry about that, everyone. Had to go and help with a delivery, so I'm back. So yeah, but what would Jimmy's music sound like? I don't know, but I bet it'd be mad. I bet it'd be crazy. Half of me thinks it probably won't even be guitar related anymore. You know what I mean? Jimmy expressed that he wanted to do an acoustic album before he died. He wanted to do that. He was also working with Miles Davis. So I've always kind of thought when you kind of sit and think about, like, you know, people like your heroes like Jimi Hendrix and what they will never get to do, sadly. I've always thought that Jimmy would have gone from where he was into kind of like the world of jazz, kind of, and then maybe into funk, and then eventually would have kind of like expanded into kind of like electronic kind of music and just kind of pushed the limits of where that can go. You know what I mean? I've always kind of thought that's where he would have ended up. Much in the same way as where John Frusciante kind of is, in a way. You know what I mean? I can understand the draw of that style of music. I can understand it. I mean, I don't particularly like it. It doesn't really appeal to me. It doesn't do anything for me. But I do understand why people get pulled in that direction. You know what I mean? Especially guitarists. You know, I can totally understand it. But what? I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine what Jimmy's music would have sounded like? Well, no, sadly we can't. But you know what I mean. We can dream. We can dream what Jimmy's music would have sounded like. You know, crazy. I reckon it'd been absolutely crazy music. Like absolutely, what is going on? Music. This is cool. That music. I don't know, but saying that, I might not even liked it. You know what I mean? It's the same as John Frusciante's new music. I don't like John Frusciante's kind of techno-y acid house music at all. It doesn't appeal to me. It's just not for me. So I mean, who knows? I mean, sadly we'll never know. But if Jimmy had access, if Jimmy could come back for a day and have access to all our modern technology just for a day, it scares me to think of what it would sound like. You know, what he would come out with. I bet it'd be absolutely amazing. I really do. I bet it'd be absolutely amazing. It kind of makes me sad, actually. It really upsets me to think that he'll never get that chance and we'll never get to hear it. Same with, we never get to hear any more Jeff Buckley. They did release a new Jeff Buckley song recently, which is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, Jeff. You know, and you know, they do release once in a while, you know, Jimi Hendrix's music. But saying that, Jimmy probably wouldn't want any of this stuff released, if I'm being perfectly honest. Unrehearsed takes and out of tune stuff, and you know, him struggling on stage with, you know, stuff with amplifiers and stuff. I don't know. He was a perfectionist, Jimmy was, so I find it very hard to believe that he would want this stuff released. I'm glad it is, because I don't care if Jimmy's out of tune or whatever. I love him, full stop, regardless. But I don't know. But it would have been wicked to see where and what he would have done and what he would have, you know, what it would sound like. But you know, sadly we'll never get to hear it. And like I say, there's a lot of artists like that. Like I say, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Buckley, Peter Green. Even though Peter Green's still with us, you know, he lost his way a long time ago. I'm trying to think of others. You know, there's so many. There's so many. Paul Kossoff. You know, Phil Lynott, if he was still around. You know, good gravy. Can you imagine what music Phil would have been making? It's really sad, actually, when you think about that. Yeah. Unreal. But yeah, I reckon it'd be well cool. I mean, I'd love to know what Jimi Hendrix could do with modern day music equipment. It'd be so cool. Okay, so I've got a question. You also asked, still on question for everybody, if you got to play on John Frusciante's stage rig setup, what would you play? Scar Tissue. No ifs, no buts, no questioning, no thinking. Scar Tissue. If I had access to John Frusciante's Marshall Major, Silver Jubilee, and John's pedalboard and his 62 Strat, I would play Scar Tissue. I'd probably be a blubbering wreck by the end of it because of what that song means to me and the fact that Like, you know, that's the rig that made that song, so to say, and that's the sound. But that's what I would play through it. That'd be my immediate thing, is to play Scar Tissue through it. Like I say, I mean, Scar Tissue is that, out of all the songs that I love, Scar Tissue is one that I love the most because of what it means, but also the fact is that is the one I have my little fantasies about every day. There isn't a day where it doesn't go. That one day I'll get to play it with them. You know what I mean? Even if it's just that one song. I mean, I'm not stupid. It's not going to happen. But, you know what I mean? It's nice to dream. You know what I mean? It's nice to make these, you know, it's nice to kind of sit there sometimes and kind of like, this might sound a bit silly, but when I play guitar in this room or in the other room and I play Scar Tissue, I always imagine what it would feel like to be stood on stage in front of thousands of people, and there's Anthony there, there's Flea there, and there's Chad there. I always imagine what it would feel like. Obviously I'll never know, you know what I mean, but I always imagine what it would feel like, and I tend to just like close my eyes and drift off into this kind of fantasy land to think like, you know, what would it feel like to start Scar Tissue in front of all those people and to play it with those three people. And it's almost, to me, it's almost more of a dream than actually meeting John Frusciante. I would say they're nearly on par, but the idea of actually playing Scar Tissue with Flea, Anthony and Chad is really, it's something else to me. You know what I mean? I can kind of feel what I feel it would kind of be like and kind of imagine what it would be like. But I would never know. But that's, you know, if you know what I mean, I don't know. Little daydreams and little fantasies and these kind of like little things you have of like, you know, maybe. I mean, you know, it's nice to have maybes in life because you never know. You never know. Maybe one day that'll happen. Maybe one day I'll meet John Frusciante. Maybe one day I'll meet Mike McCready or Peter Green. You know what I mean? Sadly, I can't meet Jimmy. I am going to go and visit Jimmy at some point in my life. I will be going to Seattle and I will be going to play my guitar for Jimmy in front of him. Much in the same way as I went to meet Rory in 2009. 2009? Yeah, probably. 2009 I went to Cork and I played guitar at Rory Gallagher's gravesite. Yeah, it nearly broke me, but it was something I had to do and something I wanted to do, and I drove all the way to Cork from here, which is about, I don't know how many miles, it's a lot, just to go and see him and to walk around his hometown, go into his hometown. But yeah, like I say, I mean, I do have those little daydreams about playing Chili Peppers songs with the Chili Peppers, and it is a dream. It is a dream, and I think you do have to have dreams, even if they're really far fetched like mine is. It's nice to have them because it does give you those kind of little escapes, and I think everybody kind of needs that. Everyone needs kind of like their little dreams and their what ifs and their maybes and their, you know, stuff like that, because you never know. It's a crazy world we live in. You never know what's around the corner. You really don't. I do know for a fact that if Flea messaged me tomorrow saying we need a guitarist, I mean, like, this is going to never happen. We need a guitarist, and I'd be out the door faster than, you know, I don't think I'd touch the floor. I'd just literally just jump out the window, actually. I don't think I'd even go downstairs. I'll just bail out the window. And then I'd have to ring them and say, yeah, sorry, I can't come, I've broken my arm. But but no, you know what I mean? It's nice to have dreams and what ifs and maybes and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, the thing is, it's like, that picture... That picture is a prime example of you never know what's going to happen in life. I never, ever in a million, trillion, zillion years thought that one day John Frusciante would actually be holding that album I made for him. I never thought that. I was convinced that was never going to happen. It took 2 years to happen, but it happened, and that's the point. You know, you never know. You never know. It's so strange. Anyway, I'm going to have to move on because I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours. So that's what I would play. If I had access to John Frusciante's setup, that's exactly what I would play. Okay, and the final part of question 3 is, and I don't know how I'm going to answer this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come back to the last part of question 3 at the end, just because it'll come clear when I get to it. So I'm going to move on from question 3 at this point in time. I'll come back to the last part of question 3, but I'm going to move on to question 4 at this point in time. Question 4 is, what amp would you recommend, valve and solid state, to get a Kurt Cobain tone? Okay, so the solid state amp I'd recommend for Kurt Cobain is the glorious, that's behind you, CR120. The orange CR120. I think, when I did my how many tones can you get out of it, I think that is one of the videos that I am really proud of, because I feel it got super, super close. The CR120 and the Jaguar sounded you're never going to be perfect, but I think it really nailed that Kurt tone. You know what I mean? As much as you can. So solid state wise, the orange CR120 is what I'd go for. And ideally, you want to go for a cab that has either vintage 30s or 25 watt greenback speakers. I think they're what Kurt used. And, there's just something about when I got rid of my basket weave cab with the greenback 25s, it never sounded as Kurt Cobain-y, that's not even a word, as it did with the greenbacks. So, the CR120 would be the solid state amp I would recommend. As for, and the thing is too, is like the crunch channel, the dirty channel of the CR120 really has the same character as the DS2. But Kurt used to run the DS2 on mode 1, not the turbo mode, the mode 1. And it's got that kind of grungy, kind of gnarly sound. I hate to use the word grungy. I'm sure Kurt Cobain would absolutely cringe at me using the word grungy to describe him. But, you know what I mean? It's got that kind of, like, aggressive kind of thing that the DS2's got when you have it on mode 1. But yeah, so, yeah, that's the solid state amp I'd recommend. It's the CR120. It's just glorious for that thing. The clean channel works for Kurt's clean tone, and the dirty channel works for his DS2 kind of tone. So the only pedal you need is a chorus. Well, phaser, a small clone. Other than that, you would just be able to do everything from the amp, which is super cool. And I reckon it just gets really close, especially with humbuckers as well, and a Jaguar. It just really sounds right. It's just got the right amount of kind of curtness. So that'd be the solid state amp. Valve wise, you kind of look in Mesa Boogie. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, Kurt used the Studio preamp. I forget what it's called. But it was only a preamp. It wasn't an actual amp. Kurt used power amps to PA power amps. He used a Crown power amp initially, but he kept blowing that up, and he switched to another one, which I always forget the name of, which was a lot more reliable. But Kurt used power amps. He used to use 2 power amps, and if you look at Kurt's stage setup, he runs 8 Marshall 4x12s. He has usually, when obviously after on the Nevermind tour later on, if you look at Reading Festival, he's got 8 Marshall 412s and they're all running. He would have 4 behind him, and then there'd be 4 off to his left side, kind of aiming in. And the idea behind that was, there was always cabs mic'd up, I'm guessing, to kind of, when he used to destroy, push him over, there would always be ones mic'd up to give him, the feedback noise that was still coming through the PA. But also, and just a massive wall of sound. And I love the fact that they used to block out the Marshall logo. It's just, no endorsements given. Love it. So cool. Anyway, even though you could tell the Marshall cabs, they still did it. Anyway. But yeah. Valve-wise, like I say, you're looking at something like a Mesa Boogie. But if I was using a valve amplifier to get Kurt's tone, I would go for something like a Mesa Boogie, and I'd just run it as a platform for a DS2. I would have the crunchy clean tone that Kurt had, because again, Kurt's clean tone wasn't clean. It sounds it, but it's actually got quite a bit of grunt and crunch behind it. It's like John Frusciante's tone. It's actually deceptively dirty, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so I don't really know. I mean, I don't really use Mesa Boogie, and I don't particularly like Mesa Boogie amps, so I don't know what I'd really recommend. Maybe something like maybe a Lone Star or something like that. You know, you could probably even go the Fender route as well, because Kurt did like Fender amps. I mean, the amp I'd recommend above all is the CR120 for Kurt. I just think the CR120 has that kind of thing to it, especially, you know, in the clean and the dirty channel. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at something Mesa Boogie or even Fender to get kind of Kurt's kind of tone. But, you know, in a perfect world, you want the amp for kind of that clean kind of crunch tone that Kurt had for stuff like About a Girl, you know, Lithium and you know, stuff like that. And then you want the DS2, really. The DS2 is Kurt's distortion tone. That is his distortion tone. You can get close with an amp, but the pedal is the sound, you know what I mean? And again, Kurt always had the DS2 set to the non-turbo mode, mode 1, and that's his sound, with either a super distortion or a Seymour Duncan JB in humbucker, you know what I mean? So, or a JB Junior as he had in his Mustangs. But yeah, so that's what I would recommend. Valve or solid state. Be Valve, it'd be Fender or Mesa Boogie, and solid state would be the orange CR120. So you also asked, how would you go about creating your own Kurt Cobain Vandalism Strat? Very simple. The hardest part about creating a Vandalism Strat, because I've made two. Excuse me. I made one for my sister and I made one for me, but I sold mine and I wish I'd never sold it now. I kind of wish I kind of want it back. I miss it massively. And I kind of wish I hadn't sold mine. I kind of want it back now. It's, you know, same as my Rory Gallagher replica. I wish I'd never sold that. And I don't know where it is. And I've lost it, basically. So yeah, silly Dave. But again, we've all got those stories, haven't we? We've all let guitars or amps or pedals go. We know we shouldn't have done, but we did. But I do wish I had my Kurt Cobain Vandalism Strat back and my Rory Gallagher. Those two are the two guitars that I regret selling, and possibly my Gold Top Vintage, but not so much. Okay, so moving along. How would you go about creating a Vandalism Strat? It's very simple. You just need a black Strat. It could be a Squier, could be anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Fender. And the hardest part on the Vandalism Strat is getting the sticker. When I did my Vandalism Strat, mine was a print off, and it was basically trial and error to get it to the right size. I basically just kind of like kept altering it, printing it off, and cutting it out and making sure it was the right size until I got it right. It took a long time. It took a long time to get that sticker right, and then to age it right is really difficult as well, because Kurt's wasn't neat and tidy. It was beaten up and a bit trashed. So you've got to, you know, that's the hardest part of the Vandalism Strat. It really is, because the rest of it is just general kind of like wear and tear and abuse of Kurt smashing the thing about. Obviously, you know, my Kurt Cobain Vandalism Strat that I did for me didn't have a humbucker. I didn't want the humbucker, so I just had a single coil. And what I did is I just sprayed the white pickup cover black just to kind of simulate, you know, the humbucker in the back. You know, black scratch plate. It's very Kurt's Vandalism Strat is actually a very easy guitar to replica, but the sticker is really difficult to get right size wise, and it took me a long time to get the size right on it. It really did take me a long time. So yeah, I mean, it just takes a bit of a while, but you know, you will get there if you just kind of keep resizing it. If you start out kind of where you think it might be, take some measurements off the Strat you're using, and then just kind of like just gradually bring it up until it is the right kind of size. Then you can just kind of like stick it down. But yeah, so it's fairly simple though. It really is fairly simple. It's just a Stratocaster, just a black Strat, black scratch plate, humbucker in the bridge, two white single coils. The bottom tone control was missing its cover. They're black tone knobs. Because Kurt only had two by the end of it. He had a volume and the middle tone. The bottom tone was missing. And basically all the dints and dents and the scratches, just, you know, you just got to basically just go at the guitar It's good to get. There's some really good close-up pictures of the guitar on Google Images that you can work from, but it's a very easy guitar to replica. It really is. Like I say, the hardest part is the sticker, but once you've got the sticker, the rest is very easy to do. It's very easy to replicate that guitar, and it just looks. Like I say, it's one of those guitars I wish I'd never sold. I wish I had that. And it was an amazing guitar. That one played and sounded and felt absolutely awesome. I miss it. I actually sold it to somebody local, but as I don't know who they are, and I don't know. I don't know if it's still the Kurt Strat. It might be something else now. Like I say, that is one of the guitars that I miss, and God, it was good. Why did I sell it? Oh, you silly boy. You silly boy. I don't know. I miss it. I really do. That is a guitar I really miss. Silly. Anyway, I'm going to stop grieving for my lost guitars. Okay, so, but yeah, like I say, Kurt's Vandalism Strat is very easy to replicate. It's just the sticker. Like I say, it's the sticker. But that's how I go about it. Just get the sticker right. Once you got the sticker right, it's very easy. Like I say, getting the gaffer tape right is easy. Like I say, there's some amazing high quality pictures of it on Google Images of Kurt playing it and the guitar in itself. So it is very easy to replicate it. And also, you asked the final part of question 4 is, what advice would you give to a musician who's looking for band members, looking for bandmates? Go to jam nights, open mic nights, jam nights, gigs, all sorts. Just put yourself out there. Even advertise. In anything local or whatever, like in local shops or whatever. Just anything you can do that might kind of get you out there. Or looking for musicians, kind of thing. Just do that kind of thing. So I'm going to have to move on. I wasn't going to run out of time, and I've still got the last part of question 3 to answer. So question 5 is: have you ever tried any LTD by ESP Strats? No, I haven't actually. I've tried a few LTD. I've tried the Explorers. I've tried some of the Les Pauls. Well, the double cut, the single cut. Sorry. And I've tried some of the Super Strats, but not really the Strats. You know what I mean? I've seen Kurt Cobain with an actual black LTD Strat. That was probably ESP actually. That was an ESP Strat. And I've seen a few, but I've never actually tried one. But I would like to at some point. Maybe one day. You also asked, how do you run your EQ so low and it not sound muffled? When I do it sound muffled. Okay, I don't know. I get that question a lot of how can you run the EQ on 0 and it still sound like it's got some kind of character to it. I don't know. It's just something I've always done. I discovered a long time ago that running the EQ where I run it like that on amplifiers makes the sound I want in my head. The sound I hear in my head is that sound. The moment I start adding EQ in, if I'm directly into an amp, it kind of goes for me. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. So yeah, I tend to kind of I don't know. It's just I don't know. I honestly don't know. It was just trial and error of tweaking, and then one day I just found that, and I was like, that's the sound. That's the sound I want. I was playing through my CR120 the other night, and it's still settled now. I can see it from here. The settings are: I had the volume on 2. I have reverb at 6. I have volume. I was only using the dirty channel, which is the only channel I really use on the CR120. I have volume all the way up. Treble, middle, and bass are all on 0, and I have gain all the way up as well. So I don't know. I really don't know why I run the amp that way. Or it just came to me one day. I was playing around, came up with that, and that was me happy. You know what I mean? It was just a natural thing that happened. So I don't know. I don't know how it happened or why it happened that way. It just did. It's one of those things. So I hope that's the question. Move on to question 6 now. Question 6 is: can you suggest a pedal for a Peter Green tone? Yeah. There's a few, but the one I would a couple of the ones I'd recommend is the Marshall Governor 2 Plus pedal. That's the sound I used in the Got a Good Mind to Give Up Living video. That's the pedal I was using. And I reckon it gives you a really good sound for Peter. Because it's kind of got this hot-rodded kind of Marshall sound. I mean, I know Peter didn't use Marshalls, but it gives you that kind of tonal thing that Peter had. Especially on the neck pickup on the Les Paul humbucker. It's got that kind of thing. Another thing, a bit more expensive, would be something like the Loud and Proud pedal by the Mad Professor pedal. What else? The Tone City Golden Plexi would do it as well, actually, come to think of it. If you run the gain fairly low on that thing, it does give you a very Peter Greeny kind of tone. Marshall Jackhammer would do it as well. But the pedal I use, mate, when I want to play Peter stuff, if I'm not plugging straight into an amp or I'm not using whatever, the pedal I use to get Peter's sound is the Marshall Governor. It's just my favourite distortion pedal. I just find it works really well for all sorts of stuff. So that would be the pedal I would suggest myself personally is the Marshall Governor 2 Plus, the one with the gold logo, just because it's stunning, just awesome. Such a lovely pedal, all it to bits. So that'd be a pedal I'd recommend. Like I said, there is more expensive ones like the Loud and Proud would do it. If you had that set to kind of like the boost mode, it would kind of do that kind of thing because it has that kind of character. But I really want to try the new Mad Professor pedal, the model of a Fender. I really want to try that. Because it looks really cool. It's way out of my price range, but I'd like to try it. Trying to think if there's any others. No, that'd be the one I'd recommend. Is the Marshall Governor. It really is. So I hope I answered your questions. Just quickly before I get to the end of question 3, when we go back, somebody asked, how do you what's the settings to get a Dave Gilmour tone out of a Zoom G2? I've never tried to do that kind of things. You were asking about how to get a comfortably numb tone. So what I'll have to do there is I'll have to play around, and I think what I'll do is I'll make a video out of it, because I've been asked this quite a few times actually of kind of how to get Dave's tone. I don't know how. I've been asked it quite a few times how to get that tone out of the G2. So I think I'll do a video on it. Well, I'll go tone hunting for Dave Gilmour's tone in the Zoom G2 one day, and I'll film it, and we'll just go from not having it at all to see where we get to, kind of thing. And I'll film a video on that. So bear with me on that one. I will get to that at some point. So going back to question 3 now, and I just want to stop the camera because I want to see how much time I've got. Okay, so the end of question 3 was this, and the reason I've left it to the end is because it's a hard thing to talk about. So, and I wanted to get through question 4, 5, and 6 without, this kind of thing. So this bit on my mind, so to say. Okay, so question 3, final part of question 3 was this, and this is the last part of the Q&A today. If you could talk to a younger Dave back in school when he was getting bullied, what advice would you give him? And funny enough, I've been thinking about this a lot. I actually brought it up in a Q&A, I think. I brought it up in. But what advice would I give to myself? I just want to tell myself that it's okay. More than anything, things will be okay. It's rubbish now, and it's not fair. And you shouldn't have to be thinking this, and you shouldn't have to be dealing with this, and you shouldn't have to be going through this. But it's okay. You don't have to be. You don't have to be as scared as you are. You don't have to be as worried as you are. You don't have to be all these horrible things that I felt. You don't have to be them. It's okay to just kind of like let things be. But this is with hindsight. This is the problem. Because if somebody told me this at the time, I wouldn't have believed it either way. You know what I mean? It's what I would like to say to myself is it's okay. You'll be alright. But You don't get to do that. You know what I mean? When you're going through things like that, you don't get to do stuff like that. You don't get to tell a younger you that it's okay. You know, you just have to live with it. I had to live with that. I had to live with the fear and the pain and of a not wanting to be. No 13, 14-year-old kid should have to live with that. When you're growing up, you shouldn't have to deal with that. It's hard enough being that age and trying to find your way in the world and trying to find who you are and what you're doing, you know, with yourself, and just trying to understand you. You don't need idiots making your life hard and making you wish you were dead. You don't. You shouldn't have to deal with that. You should never have to deal with that. No one should ever have to deal with that. And even as you get older, you should never have to be an adult and deal with people bullying you as an adult, or, you know, whatever. It's just stupid and vile, and it says a lot about. It makes you despair in human nature, really. I mean, there is so much to be grateful for. You know, humans are awesome, but they can also be absolute scumbags as well. You know what I mean? They really can. I mean, what happened to me at school is disgusting, and I didn't even have it that bad compared to some people I've spoken to. I mean, it drove me to the point where I just didn't want to be anymore. Yeah. But the problem is, some people have actually gone that extra step. You know what I mean? That's the song I wrote the other day. Why me? Is it? Well, I don't know what it's called. I'm terrible with song titles. I don't even know my own songs. But yeah, it was called Why Me. I thought it was. I just wanted to double check. The song Why Me is all about that, because, you know, from first-hand experience, I know exactly what it feels like. I know exactly where it pushes you to, and you do want a way out, and you do want to take it. I tried. Still here, luckily, and I'm grateful for being still here. But I tried. They pushed me to it, and they also pushed me to something else, which I don't really feel comfortable talking about on camera. But yeah, what would I tell younger Dave if I could if I invented time travel tomorrow and I could just go back and if I could go and sit with me, younger me, on that bench that I used to go to just to escape the world, just to escape the fear and the pain and all I was going through. If I could just go and sit with me and just explain, it's horrible now, but this is what your life will end up being. You know, one day you'll be able to do this. You know, you'll be able to play guitar, and it'll be, you'll never go away. You will suffer with panic and all these other things, but it'll be okay. You'll be okay. You know, it'd be nice to do that, but like I say, it's all hindsight, and you don't really get to do those kind of things. Sadly, it'd be nice to. It'd be nice to tell me that. It you know, would it make a difference? Probably not. You know, nothing. By that point, nothing made a difference. Nothing mattered. You know, it wasn't until finding the guitar that things changed. You know. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do, but would it make a difference? Is the ultimate question. And this is what breaks my heart about bullying. Is when somebody's being bullied, you can tell them that it's going to be okay, and you can reassure them, and you can do things to help them. But the problem is, if you're too far gone, it's so hard to reach that person. No one could reach me. No one. Not family, mum, dad, brother, sister. No one. I wanted to not exist. That's all I wanted in the world. That was the biggest want in my life When I was in year 11 at secondary school, all I wanted to be was dead. To not sugarcoat it. That's all I wanted. Because if I was dead, they couldn't hurt me anymore. They couldn't get to me. They couldn't punish me. They couldn't victimize me. They couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? They couldn't get to me if I wasn't here. So, and I say, if it weren't for these, I would not be here. I am positive I would not be here. I would have never have made it this far. I just wouldn't have. There is no way I'd be here talking to you awesome people now about this and be able to actually kind of like function. You know, I don't function greatly. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I can express it is I'm grateful for that. Because if I can express it and I'm still here and I can go through it and I'm still here, then you can still be here. You know what I mean? That's my thinking behind it. And I would love to do more with this. You know what I mean? I was talking to my friend Paul the other week, and he said he would like to kind of push me into a situation where I could give talks on this and just kind of like to prove that if you are being bullied, you don't suffer in silence. You scream it from the rooftops that you're being bullied, and these are the people who do it. Them, you, and you. You know what I mean? You know, shame people who do that kind of thing because it's vile. It's vile and it destroys people. It absolutely destroys people, and it's just not good enough. And I got no help at school for it either. No help. I got told by teachers I was weak and pathetic and it was all my fault and I deserve it. That's what I got. It makes me angry. It makes me so angry. And it makes me so upset. Because like, I got told that at 13 years old. I'd have been 13 years old at that point when I was told I was weak, pathetic, and I brought this on myself. What is wrong with you to tell a 13-year-old kid who's being bullied, who wants to kill themselves, that they're weak and pathetic? What is going through your mind to say that to a kid? Defies belief and logic. It really does. And it breaks my heart. And it breaks my heart it still goes on. You know what I mean? It breaks my heart that it still happens and I hear about it. And there was a kid I found out, this kid was being bullied. I'm not going to go into any details, but he was being bullied and couldn't deal with it, and he just killed himself. Happens too much. Way too much. That happens way too much. And it's never going to stop. You know, you're always going to get those human beings who think they're superior, and they're going to bully people who they think aren't superior. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, you know, you are literally scum if you do that to people. You know what I mean? You can't do that to people. You know, it's just so bad. You know what I mean? Yeah, people do change. But, my God, you can't. I mean, the fact is, it's like, yeah, the people who did it to me probably aren't those people who did it. But the fact of the matter is, they don't even know what they did to me. You know what I mean? They don't know the damage they caused. There's that brilliant analogy. If you get an A4 piece of paper and it's perfect, flat, it's pristine, and you screw it up and you rip it up, no matter what you do to that bit of paper from that point on, you can never put it back together to be that perfectly flat piece of paper again. And that's exactly what bullying does. I mean, that is the perfect thing for it. It really, you know, it's exactly what happened to me. It's like I'll never be the same because of what they did. You know, it mentally tormented me for that long. It just damaged me. So, you know, and that's what it does. It damages you. It damages you for life. It never goes away. You can learn to live with it, though, which is a positive. you can learn to live with it. You can learn to accept that it is what it is, and you can take steps to getting on, and living with it. It's hard. You're gonna fail. You're gonna lose sometimes, but you can do it. You know what I mean? It's not easy, but you're not alone in it. You know what I mean? I felt totally alone. I thought that it was only me, and people do. And that's why you do feel like you want the way out, because there is nobody there. I still feel it now every now and again. You know what I mean? It's number one cause for concern for me, and my depression and panic disorder is that thing of being alone, and it's all because of what I experienced when I was young. It's nothing. Nothing I can do about it now. It's been gone, and there's nothing I can do about it. So to go back and tell me it'd be okay would be awesome, but would it make a difference? Probably not. It probably won't make any difference to little 13, 14-year-old Dave sat on a bench eating his cheese sandwiches, wishing he wasn't there. Probably won't make any difference, because you do get to a point where you are too far gone by that. You know what I mean? It is one of those things where it just becomes really difficult to keep breathing. And you do think it is so simple at the end of it. You do think if you're not here, nothing can hurt you. If there is nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? If you're not here, then you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, what would I tell little Dave? I'd tell him a lot, but would it stick? Would it work? Sorry, everyone. Yeah. It's just not fair. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel fair. It isn't fair. You shouldn't have to deal with it. You shouldn't have to do it. No one should have to deal with it. It's wrong. But it happens, you know what I mean? But can there be anything done about it, because it is such a kind of thing of human nature? Probably not. But I don't know. But again, that's that song that Why Me, the song I wrote and recorded and filmed. That song means the world to me now. I mean, it really does. I mean, it's actually one of those songs I've actually gone back to listen to, which is rare. I mean, I never go back to listen to my own music, but I have that song. You know what I mean? It really has, excuse the pun, struck a chord with me. And I thought it was going to be about something else. I actually wrote it initially about something else. If I listen to the initial idea, what I'm singing about is, I know what I'm singing about, but what it became is something so much more meaningful to me. So yeah, that song really means a lot to me, and hopefully it might reach somebody who's struggling, and it might just give them just motivation to keep going. But like I say, if you're too far gone, you're too far gone. That's the problem. You push people to the limits, people don't hang around forever when they're under that kind of strain. They can't. It's physically impossible. It really is. It's mentally impossible as well. Yeah, you just find it really difficult to deal with, and it just can't. It kills me. It literally absolutely breaks every part of me to know that at this point, as I'm filming this, that is happening somewhere. I literally I can't actually cope with that thought. It really hurts. And I'd just love to take that, whoever's suffering, I'd love to take them away. Just go, it's alright. They're idiots, I know you don't see it, and I know you don't care, and I know you don't see any other way out, or this, that, and the other, but, there is ways out, there is ways to keep going, there is ways to keep breathing and existing. It's just not easy. And it requires a lot of you. And you have to dig very, very deeply inside yourself to find that. But you can find it, you know what I mean? It is there. And if I'm still here, then you can still be here. And that's something, you know what I mean? And, So there's always hope, so to say. You're never alone. It's like I hate the idea of people suffering in silence. It's like you scream it from the rooftops. If you have to scream it from the rooftops, if you have to punch somebody in the face to get their attention, you do it. If you're being bullied, you know, I get the kind of weird thing of punching somebody in the face is kind of bullying, but you know, if you need to draw that attention, and you need to draw that attention in whichever way you can. You know, you can't just be quiet about it, which is what I did. I just kept my mouth shut eventually, and at that point you are too far gone. You know what I mean? It takes a miracle. My miracle is guitars. Yeah, that was my miracle. That was my thingy. But yeah. Anyway, this is why I wanted to leave this till the end, because it's really hard to talk about. So I'm going to stop there because I'm going to run out of time. But anyway, if you want to submit a question for this Q&A Wednesday, everybody, email link is in the description box below, as well as website link, but the email link seems to be the better one to use. As for other links as well, as my Bandcamp and Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, if you all follow me on there. But yeah, so thank you so much for your questions, everybody. I hope I've answered your questions okay. I hope there's stuff in there to take away. I'll see you again on Friday for another video, which will kind of expand, actually. I've got a video I'm planning for Friday that's going to kind of expand a bit more on the end of question 3. So I'll talk a bit more about that. Well, you'll see on Friday what that is. And yeah, so yeah, I'll see you on Friday, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. And like I say, anybody who's going through that, you know, school or older or work or whatever, anyone who's getting bullied, don't be quiet about it. Don't be quiet. That'll kill you. You need to be loud about it. That'll keep you alive. If you're quiet about it, it'll kill you. It will. You can't suppress it. You can try. You won't win. You won't win that. Trust me, been there. You won't win that fight. You can't suppress stuff like that forever. It'll find you. You know, it really will. So anyway, don't suffer in silence. Just don't. You know, and if you're having bad, dark thoughts, find somebody to talk to. You need to. Yeah, there is a reason to keep going. There really is. It might not seem like it. It might not feel like it, but there is a reason. You just got to find it. And it takes a bit of time sometimes. You know. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you on Friday. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Yeah. Goodbye now. Thank you.